Dubai's sand doesn't work. I'm serious. The city sitting in the middle of Earth's largest sand desert imports sand from Australia, 7,000 miles away. Because their own sand, these grains right here, are completely useless for construction. Every grain in the desert has been polished smooth by centuries of wind, like tiny marbles that won't stick together. So the city that shouldn't exist is built with sand that shouldn't be there on foundations that shouldn't work, using engineering that shouldn't be possible. And wait until you hear about the poop trucks. But first, let me show you how Dubai solved the impossible sand problem. The Burj Khalifa weighs 500,000 tons. That's like stacking 100,000 elephants, and it's sitting on sand. Not bedrock, not solid ground. Sand so weak that engineers classified it as weak to very weak sandstone. Here's what should happen. The building should sink, just disappear into the desert like quicksand swallowing a cartoon character. But it doesn't. You know why? Friction. Engineers drove 194 concrete piles, basically massive underground pillars, 50 meters deep into that sand. These piles don't hit bedrock because there is no bedrock for another 90 meters down. They literally grip the sand through friction alone. The entire weight of the world's tallest building is held up by sand-hugging concrete. But here's where it gets insane. They had to pump concrete up 606 meters. That's over half a mile straight up. The pressure required? 240 bar. That's 240 times atmospheric pressure. They needed 3 massive pumps combined into one superstation that could have launched concrete into space if they'd aimed it upward. And get this, they could only pump at night. During the day, Dubai's heat would literally cook the concrete inside the pipes. They had to add ice to the concrete mix. Actual ice cubes, like they were making the world's most expensive smoothie. The concrete temperature couldn't exceed 35 degrees Celsius or it would fail. Outside temperature, 50 degrees Celsius. The foundation alone, 110,000 tons of concrete in a massive mat that's 3.7 meters thick. That's thicker than most buildings are tall. Quick, look at this. You can see Palm Jumeirah from the International Space Station. An island that didn't exist 20 years ago is now visible from space. How do you build an island? You spray sand. But not just any spraying. They invented a technique called rainbowing, where sand arcs through the air in perfect curves, like liquid rainbows made of earth. The dredging ships, they could fill an Olympic swimming pool in under 10 minutes. 94 million cubic meters of sand. That's enough to build a wall 3 meters high and 1 meter wide that would circle the entire Earth. Every grain positioned by GPS satellites 676 kilometers above the planet, giving centimeter precision to something the size of Manhattan. But remember what I said about sand? Dubai is sitting in the middle of the Rub al Khali, the empty quarter, the largest continuous sand desert on Earth, and they can't use any of it. Desert sand grains are like tiny marbles, polished smooth by centuries of wind. They won't lock together. Marine sand from the ocean floor has rough, angular edges that grip like Velcro. So Dubai dredged the entire Persian Gulf seabed. Then, when that wasn't enough, they literally imported sand from Australia for the Burj Khalifa's concrete. The ultimate irony. A desert city importing sand. The breakwater protecting Palm Jumeirah, 7 million tons of rock. Each individual rock was GPS positioned. That's 7 million rocks placed by satellite-guided barges and verified one by one by humans in scuba gear. It's 47 degrees Celsius outside. Inside Ski Dubai, it's -2 degrees Celsius. That's a 49-degree difference maintained 24/7, 365 days a year. The walls are insulated like a freezer. 6,000 tons of snow. Real snow. In the desert, they make 30 to 40 tons fresh every night when the mall is closed. But here's the genius part. The melted snow doesn't go to waste. It air conditions the entire Mall of the Emirates, then waters the gardens outside. Same water, used 3 different ways. Dubai doesn't just cool buildings, it cools the entire city through the world's largest district cooling network. The Business Bay plant alone has 241,272 refrigeration tons of capacity. That's a Guinness World Record. Underground pipes carry chilled water to 1,400 buildings like a massive circulatory system, keeping the city from melting. They even air condition the bus stops. 815 glass pods, with AC units keeping people cool while they wait. Though, plot twist, 130 of them were installed without being connected to power. Classic Dubai. But nothing beats this. The Palazzo Versace Dubai spent $626 million installing coolant pipes under the beach sand. The sand is literally refrigerated so guests don't burn their feet. They chill the swimming pools and have giant fans creating artificial breezes. They're air conditioning the outside. Dubai doesn't wait for rain, it makes rain. 6 aircraft fly 900 hours annually on cloud seeding missions, firing electric charges and nanomaterials into clouds. In July 2025 alone, they flew 39 missions. Cost $8,000 per flight hour. Does it work? They're generating between 168 million and 838 million cubic meters of additional water annually. That's a 23% increase in rainfall. They're literally hacking the weather. But wait, it gets crazier. Dubai seriously studied building an artificial mountain to create more clouds to seed. Not a big hill, a mountain. They got a $400,000 grant to research forcing air upward to create cloud formation. Imagine the conversation. We need more rain. Oh, should we conserve water? No, let's build a mountain. The water crisis is real though. Dubai has zero natural fresh water. None. Every drop comes from desalination plants. The Jebel Ali plant alone produces 2.23 million cubic meters daily. Another world record. The energy required? Equivalent to burning 300,000 barrels of oil every single day. All right, remember those poop trucks I mentioned? Brace yourself. Until recently, the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, the crown jewel of Dubai, had no sewage connection. 15 tons of human waste every day carried away by trucks. Not just the Burj. In 2013, 30% of Dubai's sewage traveled by truck convoy. Trucks would queue for 24 hours at treatment plants. Some drivers, desperate after waiting all day, would illegally dump into storm drains. That waste flowed straight to the beaches where tourists were swimming. But here's the thing, Dubai fixed it. They're spending $21 billion upgrading infrastructure. New treatment plants, new pipe networks, major sewage infrastructure upgrades are underway. They turned their most embarrassing failure into the region's most advanced waste treatment system. That's the Dubai way. Fail spectacularly, then fix it spectacularly. Look at this from above. Those are the world islands. 300 artificial islands shaped like Earth continents. The cost was $13 billion, but here's the kicker. Only a handful are operational. Number 13 currently developed, only a handful operational. Though finally, after 16 years, some are coming to life. The Anantara resort opened. Heart of Europe is rising, but it's still a $13 billion ghost town. NASA satellites confirm they're sinking. 5 millimeters per year. The channels between islands are filling with sand. This $13 billion map of the world is literally dissolving back into the sea. The 2008 crisis left Dubai with a $200 billion graveyard of cancelled projects. Nakheel Tower was supposed to be 1,400 meters tall, almost a mile high. Dubai Land, twice the size of Disney World. 21 years later, it's 90% empty desert. The Universe Islands, shaped like the solar system, never built. Dubai Pearl, $1.56 billion in investor money, demolished after 21 years of nothing. Pentaminium sat as a concrete skeleton for 12 years. Falcon City of Wonders promised pyramids and a Taj Mahal 4 times the original size. Got suburban villas. But here's the dark humour. Even Dubai's failures are spectacular. They don't just fail, they fail at billion-dollar scale. At peak construction, Dubai operated over 1,000 tower cranes simultaneously in one city. Picture it, a forest of cranes so dense you couldn't see the skyline. The construction workforce hit 270,000 people, 90% from South Asia, building in temperatures that regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius. The Burj Khalifa has 24,348 windows. Takes 36 workers 3 to 4 months to clean them all. The second they finish, they start over. It's an endless cycle. Imagine that job interview. When does the work end? It doesn't. Every building fights constant attack. Sand infiltration during storms, chloride-rich groundwater corroding foundations within 5 years, concrete that turns pink at 300 degrees from the heat. In April 2024, Dubai got more rain in 24 hours than it usually gets in a year. Damage? $544 million. The storm was unprecedented. Even perfect drainage couldn't have handled it all. But having barely any drainage, that turned a disaster into a catastrophe. They built a city in the desert and forgot it might rain that much. The construction continues 24/7 with workers wearing ice vests, concrete mixed with ice, and mandatory work bans from 12:30 to 3 p.m. when it's so hot that touching metal causes instant burns. Today's workers get mandatory breaks, hydration stations, and those ice vests. Progress, even if it's slow. But still, 270,000 people building the impossible in the world's most hostile construction site. Dubai's not done. They're building an underwater floating mosque. Underwater floating mosque opens later this year. Flying taxis launched 2026, the 45-minute drive from airport to Palm Jumeirah, 10-minute flight. A $5 billion moon resort where you'll experience 1/6 Earth's gravity, not through physics, but through the weight of your hotel bill. Mars Science City with 3D printed buildings made from desert sand. The solar park expands to 7,260 megawatts with robots cleaning 2.5 million panels that lose 40% efficiency every time a sandstorm hits. Dubai is humanity's greatest engineering middle finger to nature. A city with no water, no bedrock, no possible reason to exist, housing 3.5 million people in air-conditioned comfort. Every building is an impossibility. Every island is an insult to physics. The environmental cost? Devastating. 70% of the coral reefs gone. But they're pivoting. 2050 net zero targets, solar panels everywhere. Too little too late? Maybe, but it's something. Every chilled beach, every indoor ski slope, every drop of manufactured rain is proof that if you have enough money, enough ambition, and enough absolute insanity, you can build anything, even on sand.